CW has been around as long as radio, even longer in fact. It has been a core operating mode for over 100 years. In 2007, the FCC removed the requirement to demonstrate code proficiency to obtain a general or higher class license. So since there's no requirement to learn CW, why would you want to learn it? That is exactly what I'm going to cover in this episode. Welcome to the House of Ham. I'm Bob, WV7W. This is the first of a new series I'm doing on CW. In this series, I will go over the many facets of CW, including how to learn and get proficient at it. And I'll be bringing along some guests along the way to help me out. Today, I'm going to start with my top 10 reasons of why you may want to learn CW. Number 10, historical curiosity. CW was the first method of communicating both over the wire and wirelessly. Many find this lore of early comms intriguing. Those of you that like history and how Morse code fits into that history may want to embrace it in the ham radio hobby. Number 9, fascination with the code. Many are fascinated by codes and ciphers. Morse code is another language, and there are those that like the idea of knowing another language. Morse code has been used for telegraph, light signals on ships, as well as radio. Being able to use something that most people cannot do is cool. I think it is really neat that a pattern of beeps can make up our full alphabet and numbers that we can use to communicate with. Now let's get into some of the more practical reasons why we may want to use CW for ham radio, starting with number 8. Number 8, CW works when most modes don't. CW is a very efficient mode, and you can get reliable comms when AM, FM, and single sideband simply won't work. Now I know that many of the newer digital modes are equally as efficient as CW, and in some cases more so. I don't want to discount those, but they require bringing a lot of gear, such as a computer, which leads us to number 7, minimal equipment. For reasons that we will get into in a minute, there are situations where you may not want to drag a bunch of gear with you. CW transceivers come in all shapes and sizes, some of which can be very small and light. And you also don't need a lot of other stuff. All you need is a radio, antenna, and a key, and you're all set. Some CW radios are really small, like my QRP Labs QCX Mini. Now I do need an external battery and either earphones or a speaker, but this thing weighs almost nothing and puts out 5 watts. This leads us to number 6, kit building. Kit building is a lot of fun, but most ham radio kits are CW only. Now I'm a huge fan of kit building. I've built many radios over the years. One of the first I built was the Rockmite. This is a crystal radio that works only on one frequency and only puts out 350 milliwatts, so not the most practical radio. I mentioned the QRP Labs QCX Mini, of which I've built 2, one for 40 meters and another for 20 meters. And I just finished my QMX kit, which looks exactly like the QCX, but it covers 5 bands. Now I've also built some more complex kits like the Elecraft K2 and KX1. Those were quite a bit more work, but very satisfying. Number 5, low power operations. As I mentioned in number 8, CW is very efficient, so you can get by with low power, also known as QRP. You can easily talk around the world on only 5 watts or less with CW. Try that with sideband. Low power also means you don't need as big a battery. It's nice to be able to bring a small rig with a small battery and get on the air. And this leads us to one of the most popular reasons that hams want to learn CW, and that is for portable operations. Number 4, Poda. One of the most popular outdoor ham radio activities is gotta be Parks on the Air, or Poda. Poda is a great opportunity to use CW in the field with lightweight QRP radios. I do Poda almost exclusively using QRP, and so far I've only done Poda using CW. Poda is a ton of fun to do, especially with QRP rigs. Number 3, SOTA. Probably one of the biggest reasons many hams have decided to learn CW is summits on the air, or SOTA. Hiking up to a mountain summit is not where you want to drag a big heavy rig and battery. Small CW rigs that easily fit in a backpack are well suited for mountaintop operations. I do my SOTA ops with my KX2, a carbon-6 mast, and an end-fed half-wave wire antenna. This makes my setup very lightweight, and I have found it to be very effective. I usually have pileups and get around 20 contacts in as many minutes with only 5 watts CW. Bottom line, it works. Number 2, because CW is cool again. Partly because of Poda and Soda, and partly due to groups like Straight Key Century Club, CW Ops, FIST, and others, CW has become where the cool kids hang out. CW has seen a lot of growth over the last few years, and this is even more interesting since there hasn't been a requirement to learn CW for several years. Last, but certainly not least, number 1, it's fun. My number 1 reason is that CW is a lot of fun. It's challenging and rewarding, and the more you use it, the more fun it gets. This is in large part to the friendly and supportive community of CW operators. Even starting out, you will find that most CW operators are very willing to slow down and work you. They love CW and they want others to enjoy it too. I hope you found this helpful. If you have ideas for other topics to cover in this series, leave a comment below and I'll try and get those in. If you haven't already, you may want to subscribe so you know when that next video comes out, and don't forget to hit that bell so you get notified. Until next time, 73.